Hello and welcome to episode 59 of the Your Way podcast. I have one of my all-time favorite humans on today, my lovely friend, Greg Gyori. And I'm laughing because he's just been trying to teach me how to say his surname properly, and I'm not sure I got it right. So, Greg, please, just
Yeah, I'm going to say it's Greg Gyori, but you said it kind of fine, Gyori, yeah.
kind of, kind of. I apologize.
No, no.
Um, so I originally asked Greg to come on this podcast in about March of this year, when he shared what I considered to be a miraculous healing story with me. And I was like, we need to get you on the podcast to talk about this. And since then, the two of us have become besties. And so there's lots and lots of things that I want to talk about today. But Greg, thank you so much for coming on. It is lovely to see you again. Do you want to tell people a little bit about you, what you do, who you are, what you're about? But don't worry, because we're going to dive into it all. But just like a little bit of a thing that isn't just this is my bestie and we're going to have a chat, which is basically what's going to happen.
Thank you so much for having me. Of course, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So, actually, I got into personal development 5 years ago when I went through a bigger burnout. And obviously, the recovery was for me to basically realize that I cannot carry on like this. And it was back when I was still working for PwC. And so I just made a decision to leave from there because the environment wasn't right to recover even from a burnout. So yeah, I moved on from there, but actually it was a huge lesson. It was a wake-up call for me to understand that, that there is potentially a life that is different to the constant stress, living in anxiety, going through the burnout and constantly performing and doing everything for everyone and people pleasing. So it was a huge wake-up call basically. And from that point on, I started kind of exploring a lot of things, exploring Europe, exploring myself, exploring stuff outside Europe, things that really intrigued me, interested me. I have been doing yoga for many years, even before. I started exploring Qigong, that was in 2021. And from that point on, there was just a lot of other personal development stuff. I've done a lot of courses, and in the end, I became a coach myself in 2022. And from that point on, really, there was just an upward spiral, if I'm honest.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. And I feel like we first got in touch. It was like 2020, was it like 2021, 2022? I think when I looked back that we started chit-chatting.
I think so. Maybe I sent you a couple of messages on LinkedIn. There was direct messages probably, and then yeah, in 2021, maybe on Instagram, I think we connected as well.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. So you touched upon lots of different bits there that I want to go into in more detail. One of the things that I don't think you know about that I was thinking about earlier, I think it was the start of this year, and we'd gone on a walk, me and Nat, not me and Greg. Me and Nat had gone on a walk with a couple in the village, and I said, I really feel this nudge. Like I really feel like part of what I'm here for is to go and visit lots of different places and learn from lots of different cultures and learn about how they do different kinds of healing and how they take care of each other in order to kind of bring it back to the West in a way. Now, whilst that was my vision and is part of my vision, and obviously I did a bit when I went to Bali for 3 weeks, you've kind of been living this for 3 years, 3+ years now, of really following the nudges. Like you said, oh, like I explored myself and I explored Europe and I explored out of Europe. Um, but I'd love you to share a bit more of like how did this come about? What were the nudges? What did you learn? I appreciate this could be very long, like, but just whatever comes to you, I just love you to share how you go from I'm in PwC and I'm like, there's got to be a different way of doing it than this. And if you read Greg's bio in the show notes, honestly, I could have written it with like a few changes in detail. Like, it's incredible how like similar that journey of that path is. Because I think sometimes life smacks you in the face and you're like, I can't this can't be it. There's got to be more. I can't. So yeah, the floor is yours.
So how
Tell
we
us how it. Yeah.
basically how it started was I kind of, even like many, many years ago, I had this, deeper knowing that I don't just want to be an accountant. I don't just want to be working in tax as a tax manager. I kind of wanted to navigate towards deeper self-exploration. That's how I can put it, because it kind of runs in the family as well. My mom is really into this stuff, exploring different modalities, and I just thought, if it's in the family and it's not judged at all, then there's nothing really that's holding me back. Because sometimes when we start off these journeys, it is normally the family, that it could be judging, asking questions, and all that. And even when I just started off, there was no judgment, so I just wanted to explore more. And I kind of traveled to, so back then I traveled to Europe first. I was doing some yoga retreats and yoga courses. But the next year, so that was in 2022, in that year I traveled to Indonesia first time. And I did a yoga teacher training as well. And even, all these trainings, even before all these trainings, there was just a lot of questions, like trying to understand all these experiences that I was having while I was doing yoga, qigong, meditation, or any other, spiritual or non-spiritual practices that you do on a daily basis, where you're allowing yourself to connect with yourself when you're not thinking about, I don't know, your shopping list or what, the list of things you have to do today. When you allow yourself just to be right there with you in the moment and exploring what is going on for you. So, and a lot of questions that I had were kind of answered, because when you keep putting these questions out and you try to explore it within you, and sometimes you do ask the same questions many times, you do get a lot of answers, and it hits you like sometimes when you're done with the meditation, it hits you like from out of nowhere. You're done with the stuff and you're walking, but you're still in this state of calm, being present, and you get these answers, rushing to you. So it was just very interesting to understand uh, what is going on. So
Yeah.
that's how it all started. I wanted to explore more.
Amazing. So you go to Indonesia in 2022,
Yeah.
and then where did life lead you after that?
So after that, in 2022, I actually met some amazing people, as you do when you get out of your comfort zone, and you actually in a community where you have like-minded people and you get to ask questions. So I met some amazing teachers. A lot of my questions were answered that you can't really find in books, the experiences you might be having. So that led me down on the road of, so I came back at the end of 2022 and I started teaching yoga in 2023. And I think when you are also preparing for your lessons, when you are practicing more, you kind of deepen everything. You kind of deepen this path. You kind of try to explore deeper, and so it was leading me down to actually helping people exploring all these different areas, because by that time I already had the coaching qualification as well. So it was very interesting to see and bring coaching and yoga together. And actually, there was a limiting belief back then, because I thought, so I've done the coaching qualification, so I'm a coach now, but and it's later on the same year, I got the yoga teacher qualification as well, and I thought, so am I coach? Am I yoga teacher? Am I both? Can I be both? But and then when I started bringing in this stuff to my yoga lessons, and it was just like a couple of minutes talk at the beginning, setting the intention, and actually focusing on those intentions. If you're a teacher, you can bring the attention back to those certain areas, depending on the sequences that you're doing that we are exploring. And a lot of people had a lot of emotional releases, and they were telling me how much it was helping them to explore these areas, and actually, things that sometimes we just ignore, and we kind of limit ourselves. We believe all the stuff that people are telling us from childhood, from your parents, from the family, from even friends. So you believe all that stuff, and I suppose that's part of the healing journey, right? When you're trying to release, or they're trying to unearth the real you, trying to find who you really are beneath all the stuff that was projected on you and you actually believed, right? So that's
Yeah.
really leading me.
Yeah. Amazing. So you start to combine, so you start to see, because I think a lot of people have this experience of like, well, I've got all of these different like a lot of the time it's like I've got all of these different interests, and we sort of try and fit ourselves into this neat little box of like, well, how, like what's the neat little box that I fit into? Am I like, do I fit into this neat little box, or do I fit into this neat little box? And I think then you get to a point where you're like, fuck the box. I'm gonna make my own box. Like, what does my box look like? This is taking a turn. What does my box look like? And how do I want to bring that into the world? So you've got your yoga in there, you've got your coaching in there. Like, obviously, we know people that listen to this podcast are probably going to be a little bit aware of like the yoga is also amazing for, like you just said, getting into the body, because it isn't just all of our thoughts, right? So more of the kind of somatic based work. um so you've done that. And then where are we now? End of 23? What happened in 24?
So end of 23, actually. So I found a lump at the back of my leg.
Yeah.
Actually, even in 2022, I went for a scan saying, "Oh, I feel something in my leg. I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know where it's coming from. It was just like these kind of electric shocks, and it was very strange."
Hmm.
And then, so that scan came back without anything, because they actually scanned my lower back, saying probably it's the lower back having problems and shooting down into the leg.
Right.
But actually, in 2023, I found a lump at the back of my leg, and so that was a surprise then, because first I just thought it was just like a muscle knot, and I was trying to massage it away. But I was trying to massage it, it was just getting really painful. And so I'm the kind of person, I'm one of those who loves these Thai ladies walking on your back, digging the heels in. So I like a bit of pain, but this sort of pain was just like burning and electric shocks at the same time. So I thought, okay, something is wrong. So then I went for a private scan, because the normal scans, if you go to your doctors, it's like 6 months to 1 year. So I didn't want to go on the waiting list. So I went for the private scan. It came back, and they actually found a tumor, a nerve tumor. So that was a bit of a shock, to be honest, but this is very interesting, because when you're on this kind of journey of trying to explore yourself, and you feel deeply connected, and you feel, you can call it, I don't know, anything you want. I call it the universe, you can call it God, you can call it some
Yeah.
higher power. So you feel pretty connected with something, and you kind of trying to understand what is going on, because you can go straight into the victim mindset and say, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening to me, this is ruining my life," and so on. And in a way, it was a huge challenge, because
Yeah.
if I'm sitting here and telling you, "Oh, it was just nothing really," it's so not true. Because when you're told there's a tumor, and the next thing is they're telling you that actually we're gonna have to scan it and see how dangerous it is, and
Mm.
find out what's going on. So then you kind of, you are scared, you're scared. And
Yeah.
I was using all of my coaching tools. Probably it was an amazing training ground for me to deepen my journey as well, because I was just like, I've got all these tools, I might as well use them, and see how they work on me. Because, and this is so amazing, because when you use those tools for yourself, I think it's so much easier to help others, because tap into those, I don't know, feelings, into those circumstances, into those energies when you are helping a client and you're trying to come up with a breakthrough for them. So yeah, it was just amazing to see, how this is all panning out. And so between January 2024 and March 2024, it was an era where I was just in between. I didn't know what was going on because I was waiting for the scan, and actually I only got the result in April. So April 2024. So between January and April, it was just a lot of questions all the time, and this is so interesting because when you know that, because by then I already knew, because I was already teaching yoga, I was helping people with coaching as well, and I thought, if I have all this knowledge and I have all this passion for this area, which is not tax and not accounting, and I feel like I can truly help people make a change and make a difference. And then why is this, being thrown at me? And what can I learn from it? Because
Yeah.
because it's so easy to say, probably something's gonna go wrong with my leg, yeah, and I can't teach yoga anymore, blah blah. And there was a risk there as well. But when you
Yeah.
have this deep belief of actually I'm here for a reason, I have already helped people, I know I can do it, and you have this deep belief of it is a lesson if I'm listening and if I'm open to it, and let's see what I'm learning. Well, honestly, I've learned so much, and if you told me, if you basically told me to listen to someone with this story and say, oh, he had a tumor, and actually it was a lesson, and a kind of a blessing as well, because it really deepened my journey of inner work. I feel like I've done so. It was like a crash course, because I thought I've done so much work on myself from 2020 till 2023, and then when this started, this journey in the beginning of January 2024, there was another layer where I was digging in and really seeing the real me, because at the end of the day, it's you who's getting through it, and you get all the support around you, which is wonderful. But when there's no one there around you, you're left with your own thoughts, right? And how do you navigate that? And so between that period, I also had these electric shocks all the time, imagine. So it was just trying to understand what is going on with my leg. And then I was still doing some very gentle exercises. There was kind of yoga, waiting for it was called the biopsy. And then I did one bad move, and basically I kind of squeezed the tumor without wanting to. But I think it was just a kind of squatting position. And then all the way down my leg, something came out of it. And basically it burnt my leg from the middle of the upper thigh, the back of the upper thigh, all the way down towards my ankles. So that was back in January 2024, when I was still understanding what was going on. So I had this burning pain. I had this series of electric shocks that would just, yeah, shock me every now and then during the day, and letting me know that I'm still here, and so that was actually really scary, because you have pain at one point in the body, and all of a sudden there's a whole lot of pain and a lot of burning. So that was keeping me up at night as well. I was taking medication that had a lot of side effects, and I had to stop that. But actually, I think what really helped me was, with everything, was a mixture of my coaching tools, knowing about energy, because I said to you, I practiced a lot of qigong, and actually I've done a lot of different courses as well that relate to energy. And so having these tools, where you've got your mindset, even though you think something is wrong, but you've got a strong mindset that you're relying on. You're doing your practices on a daily basis. You know about energy, and you're actually trying to heal yourself, because it is so, I think it's so important that we actually use all the tools, and it's not just one thing, because I do think, Western medicine is powerful, Eastern medicine is powerful, but there's also, energy medicine that no one is really talking about. And that was also something that was very, very important during the process and even after, because when because even if you're working with emotions and you're working with people who need different tools to manage emotions, emotions are also energies in motion. And when you realize and you really try to listen, whether it's love, gratitude, anger, sadness, whatever, I'm not just going to say all the positives, but when you feel those emotions and you actually know by moving the body and using the tools that you have for coaching, that you can actually move those energies within the body. You can clear them, you can move them around, and doing the practices, you can actually clear them, whether it's outside or outdoors, indoors, wherever you are. When you tap into these things, knowing that, you can also help yourself, I think was so important in this journey.
Yeah, and I want to touch upon a couple of things that you said there that I think are really, really important, right? Because there is a whole world of difference between I went and did these courses and I learned this stuff, and I had to implement, embody, experience, practice, like all of these things. It makes a world of difference between the person that sits before you and is like, try this thing, and the person that sits before you and is like, I understand, not that everyone's journey is the same, that's not what I'm saying, but like, I actually understand what this looks like, because you will understand, like, you're painting this, like, you're not painting the rosy picture, but you're painting the picture 2 years on, right? Or what, 2-ish years on, right? But you also understand the fear and the terror and the doubt and the worry and the times where you were like trying to do the energy work and you were maybe throwing yourself a pity party, or like the times where it was challenging and the times where you cried or you raged and you were like, why me? And you understand all of those different pieces of the puzzle. And then you understand this magic of, because you're right, a lot of people would have 100% gone into victim. Woe is me. Why is this happening to me? This is shit. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to sit in a chair for however long and see what happens. And you were like, no, no. Like, I'm curious. I've got this connection. Like, I know I'm here to do big things. So, what is this trying to show me? What are the lessons from this? And then, amazingly, and then how do I actually use some of this stuff that I've had to learn on my own through quite challenging circumstances to support other people? Which is quite incredible, really. Like, I don't know if you recognize how incredible it is, like sharing the story because it's you, but it is really quite incredible to be like, and I went through all of these different pieces because you didn't just stop there, did you? So when you get to April 2024 and you get told that you have a tumor, yeah, then what? Because you didn't then be like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to give it up. You're allowed to swear on this podcast, by the way. Greg's not really a swearer. I like to swear every now and again. Um, because then what did the rest of 2024 look like?
2024 was, so because of the biopsy, that was in March 2024, and I got the results in April. So from March, my employer told me, I think you need a break, and
And they
navigation.
were right.
I'm so grateful because honestly, it was honestly so different from my previous employer, and I'm just so grateful to them as well. And they told me, like, we really think you need a break, especially now you're having your biopsy. You're allowed to take some time off, and And actually, after the biopsy, uh, they kind of angered the tumor because
Oh,
they took three pieces out, and so basically the electric shocks got a lot more intense. But by that point, I also stopped using the medication because I said that it had some side effects.
yeah.
And so that was March 2024. And in April, I had 4 weeks where I was like, okay, what can I do to actually make this better, to get rid of the electric shocks? What is happening with the nerves and the nervous system, right? And there was it really, really helped me to do some practices that were mainly calming, some calming breath work, calming movements in Qigong. In Qigong, you have yin and yang, obviously. I was focusing on all the yin positions, all the yin flows, and obviously I couldn't do much yoga then because the leg was pretty restricted. But Qigong was still going, and it helped me so much to calm the nerves. And I was just trying, because with the things I've studied, and I was thought, okay, I know all this stuff. I'm gonna try it. It's an amazing opportunity to try it out, right? And honestly, it really worked. So by May 2024, I was already abroad, uh, and I was trying to explore more healing practices to actually deepen my knowledge in this area because some of the stuff really worked. And the electric shocks were going down, the burning was going down, and yeah, it was definitely because obviously it was a nerve tumor as well. And I had a lot of training in the nervous system before. I thought, okay, this might work, and it really did. So I just felt it was such a blessing that I've studied before and actually had the opportunity to apply it because it's one thing is, you learn all about the stuff, but actually applying to yourself on a daily basis is very different. So yeah, so back then, so I explored things in India, I explored things in Thailand. In India, I've done a lot of Kundalini training. It was also focusing on energy. I didn't use the legs as much, if I'm honest. I was still kind of recovering from the biopsy, but like I said, the leg was so much better. It was getting
Mhm.
so much better. And in Thailand, I learned different forms of Qigong to deepen my knowledge again. And in Japan, I've explored some really beautiful things. I had some Reiki healing in Japan. They taught me about the art of forest bathing, which is also really focusing on the energies around you being right there in the present moment and soak it all in. They also talked a lot about the negative ions in the forest, especially in the morning when you're there early morning, how beneficial it is for all parts of you. So it was just another learning journey that I allowed myself to go on. Whereas, before I would go on like a month trip. So the year before I went to Bali for a month, and the year before I was mainly in Europe for a month. And I didn't really allow myself to go for longer periods because that was the norm in my family with my friends. Like they would tell me who has time off work that is longer than a month. Like,
Mm.
and I used to believe the same thing. Like I thought this is not normal, but when you're trying to explore more about yourself, about what is out there and experiencing the world, and you also done a lot of self-development, you sometimes say yes to yourself. And when you do, I think that's when the magic unfolds. I met so many incredible people. I had so many incredible experiences. And I could have stayed at home and cried in the corner.
Yeah.
But it's all about
Yeah.
making that decision.
So you did Thailand, India, Japan in 2024. Anywhere else?
Oh yeah, 1024. Yeah, I went to Singapore as well. In that year, I went to Cambodia, and I
Yeah.
and I think that's it. Yeah.
Just the five. Just the five. Okay, so then and we'd started chatting quite a bit by this time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Right. So we became like like modern day Instagram pen pals in Instagram Messenger. And then I think it was around the start of this year that I was chatting to you and you'd got an operation coming up
Exactly.
in March.
Yeah.
And what did they tell you about how long you were not going to be able to walk for after your operation?
Oh, they said that because it was really deep and obviously it was operating on the nerve. They said it's quite likely you're not going to be walking well for 6 weeks, and it's normally 6 weeks is the recovery for you to walk.
Yeah,
And they said so it's pretty unlikely that you'll get going because it was very deep and it was a pretty big cut as well, if I'm honest.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they say about 6 weeks. And then so then how do you handle this? How do you prepare yourself for the operation? Like what's the because at this point you've got quite a few trips and quite bits of training and lots of like different modalities under your tool belt. So what's the prep look like?
For the operation, so actually I needed a lot of, it wasn't just energy, it was a lot of really nutritious food.
Yeah,
It was a lot of supplements as well, a lot of antioxidants, all the green stuff basically, all the greens
yeah,
you can imagine. So I had a lot of green drinks, smoothies, juices, and all that. But there was a lot of mental preparation as well, and
yeah,
emotional and energetic as well. So with the mental one, obviously with the mindset towards ahead, I was like, okay, how am I gonna find this way in between where I'm not bypassing, where I'm just bringing this toxic positivity and be like, oh, everything's gonna go well, everything's gonna go fine, and there's no other thoughts coming to me, nothing else I'm gonna allow. But I just thought, okay, let's see what's coming up. If it's negative, and let's understand why it's coming up. Is it still, something I need to look at? I hadn't looked at before. I had a lot of time to look at, or is there something else I need to explore? But actually, to be honest, there was not a lot of negative stuff coming up. It was just mainly I was worried a little bit about the risk, where they said, okay, if we hit this part and we cut this part, you might not be able to use the leg. So it was something I was thinking about. But I wasn't panicking. I was trusting. This is the truth.
mhm,
I was trusting that, I gained all this knowledge over the past few years, and I could really, really share with people if I am the way I was before, and if they can sort out my leg. And I was just trusting it. And I went with this hope and trust, and by that time I had a lot of gratitude as well for this entire journey that I went on,
mhm.
because it's one thing that you actually have these experiences, but you can dismiss them, right? You can just be like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I've only done it because I had this tumor, I've only done it because of this and that. But actually, if you really feel into it, I think that's the key. Like when you really look back and say, I am so grateful that this is giving me all these opportunities and all these amazing experiences that really pushed me, really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And,
yes.
it really allowed me to level up.
Yeah. And massively paved the way for the healing work that you will now go on to do with others. I feel like I interrupted you then. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, no, I think it was totally your time to say something.
You did something with your hands. So, and this was and what's about to come was the first reason when I was like, you need to come on the podcast. So you have your operation. How many days after your operation are you sending me a video of you doing qigong in the garden?
I think it was 3 days after. So 3 days after,
They
because
might have even been 2 days after me, which
no, if I say 3 days, then it's definitely true. Because I'm,
okay.
after 3 days, I felt, because I was using still the tools. I was doing a lot of,
Yeah.
calming breath. I was using a lot of the energy tools that I've learned, and even in the room, the second day in the room, I was moving around, doing some of my qigong stuff, which is not the same when you're doing it outside. So on the third day, I went outside. I think I was walking in the garden. I sent you the video, right? I
Yeah,
was, I was doing my normal qigong, and qigong is so beautiful when you work with the energies around you, and you get to use, the energies from nature, and actually it has all the tools to teach you to feel energy. So it's not like, oh, I don't believe in it or I believe in it. It has, the tools to actually teach you how to feel it, how to connect with it, and how to cultivate it, because it is, in a way, it is a spiritual practice as well, but it's not like a religious spiritual practice. So you're still connecting to something, high above, whatever you believe in, high powers, God, the universe, but it's not tied to a religion. It's not really a religious practice, but it's so beautiful because I think so many of us lost this part of us. And I went through a time as well, when I pushed all these things down, especially when you're a kid. As a kid, you're definitely sensitive to energy, but during your upbringing and all the conditioning you pick up, right? You lose it because you get told it's not important. You get told that your grades are important. You get told that you are your grades. If if
yeah,
if you are from that kind of family, or your sports achievements. Back then I was really into boxing, so these things were like just the things that I was basically, whatever I achieved through sports or my grades, and nothing else really mattered for my immediate family or even grandparents or anyone else. But when you go through all this, you kind of remember that even back then as a kid, you were sensitive to all this stuff. You used to be able to connect so easily. And let's say, when you wanted to discharge some energy, it was so easy for you to throw a tantrum, shake it all off, right?
yeah.
We don't do that anymore, obviously, because we have grown up, and especially if you're a man, you're told that you should man up, you should never cry, you should keep it together and just hold it all in because you're a man. So
Mm.
when we push all these things down, we create all these blockages inside us that are stored in the body. And, we get told that this is the norm.
Yeah, yeah, we do. And it isn't. So, and I remember your voice note to me said something along the lines of, this is not verbatim, but it said something along the lines of, no one can tell me that energy healing doesn't work after this. You were like, energy healing is real. And I was like, this is really quite a miracle. Like, it's quite a miracle. I don't use the word lightly, but I'm curious from your perspective, and this might feel uncomfortable because it might feel a bit too like bigging yourself up. So if it does, tough shit. Um, but do you think all of those tools and all of those things that you had, actually there was an element that you were able to heal yourself, or at least help with that process?
Honestly, definitely. And it's because you kind of feel the difference. And so even when, I had the biopsy, and because I was doing these daily practices, and I noticed that, actually the electric shocks are dying down, even though the tumor is pressing on the nerves, and it's a nerve tumor, and it was burning. The burning is dying down. But after the operation, it became so clear that actually healing also happens on an energetic level. It's not just the physical level. And, we have all these amazing abilities that we ignore. We get told that they're not important, but actually there's there's so many things that, modern science hasn't even explained yet. And, some of it doesn't even need explanation because you just feel it, you just know it. And
Yeah.
when I, tried some Qigong stuff with my friends as well, they were like, oh, let's try to feel energy. They were blown away,
Mm.
because it's not something you're told that how to do it, or especially you're not taught at school, which is such a shame, right? But I think the same of the personal development stuff. It's such a shame it's not taught in school, but hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
it will change.
Yeah, maybe one day. And as an aside, for anyone that listened to the podcast, the last episode of the podcast, when I didn't name you, Greg, but I talked about having gone to Bali and learned about like had a little bit of a slap in the face about like the difference between doing present and being present. I don't think anyone's going to be under any illusion of like what it was like to be in Greg's presence in Bali, to be like, oh, this is present. Oh, okay. Because we did some qigong together on the beach. And that's what I realized because I do qigong every morning, but like like almost from a like military is the wrong word, but from a like I'm going to go through these different moves because it's going to open up all of my channels and it's going to open up my lymph and it's going to do all of these different things. And I'm going to stand on the vibration plate and do some of it. And then I'm going to finish it off and I'm just going to work down through all the different bits. And then then when I've done that, I'm going to go into the next bit. And we were stood on the beach and we were doing the exercise with the hands, which I just do like this, right? And you're like, the little fingers graze them past each other. And he's like, just focus on the little fingers. And then the movement with the hand. And I was like, oh, fuck, I've been doing this wrong. Not that it's like wrong, but you know what I mean? And now it's like this whole new experience of like actually bringing more presence and mindfulness in. Um, which was just amazing. And obviously, you get to share that gift with your clients as well, which is incredible. So, do you want to share any more of your 2025 journey? So, you finish your operation, and then what?
Yes, I finished a bit earlier this year. So that was in March, and because already I was kind of okay with walking. Obviously, on the third day, it was still, a bit of
On the
limping.
third day, he rose again.
The third day, I was still limping, but there was a lot less pain. I was just trying to understand what is actually my limit right now, and back then it was just up and down the stairs, down to the garden, doing some qigong, and that's it. And I thought, okay, I don't really want to push it like crazy. But then I kept going down every day and, spend more time in the garden every day. And I just thought, actually, this is crazy, but I'm feeling okay. So that was 4 weeks after the operation. I booked the flight.
Yeah, you did.
So I booked the flight. So then I landed back in Thailand, but I really wanted to explore Nepal. So I used Thailand to just get rid of the jet lag. And I traveled around in Nepal for 2 weeks because it was a dream of mine. And I thought, I might as well give myself this gift again. And in a way, the year before really empowered me to do that because, when you solo travel, you have these different thoughts. But if you have done some work on you, it's probably not going to hold you back. But you have all these fears, right, that are coming up, and fears mainly from other people as well. Like they're telling you why you shouldn't go, and it was just me sitting there, and I was telling them, and these are the reasons, all the reasons why I'm still going. But because it's so easy to accept it from family, friends. They're telling you all their bad experiences as well, but I'm just like, yeah, I wonder what my experience will be like if I truly allow myself to truly embrace um, what is waiting for me and not focus on the fears because they may always be there until you actually take that step, until you actually go for it, until you're there. It only dissolves
Yeah.
when you're experiencing all these things. So I ended up in Nepal for 2 weeks, and actually I didn't enjoy the capital that much, and I went to the north to see the Himalayas, and that part was just so beautiful. So that I felt really complete. But then I thought, what else can I do? And I carried on, and because honestly, by the time I finished Nepal, my leg felt okay, like really, really okay. Oh, imagine I had the luggages as well and all that. So I was carrying them on. My leg felt perfectly fine. There was no electric shocks, there was no burning, none of that. So I thought, okay, I'm not gonna carry crazy huge luggages. I was kind of traveling light at the beginning. So
I'm laughing because I saw some of his cases towards the end.
yeah, then I started shopping around in the Philippines. My next stop was the Philippines, and honestly, the Philippines was just a beautiful surprise for me because even there, when you hear all these bad stories that you're gonna get robbed, you probably gonna have a really bad belly because of the obviously the food hygiene and all that. But I had none of that. I had met some amazing people, some wonderful people. My belly was fine, and I went to see some of the most amazing islands and lagoons. And honestly, I wouldn't have done any of that if it hadn't been for the tumor.
Yeah.
This is the craziest thing. I have been wanting to go to Nepal and the Philippines for years and years, and I would just put it off and just be like, yeah, yeah, I might just wait for this friend. I just wait for me to have more energy. I just wait for me to have more time. I wait for a family member. There's so many reasons why you wouldn't go, right? And you would wait and
Yeah.
wait. But there's so many other reasons for you to go actually and go for it and explore. And it was just beautiful. And my other dream was to go and see the Great Barrier Reef. And after 2 weeks in the Philippines, I carried on and and I went to Australia as well. And it was just a dream, really. I've seen Sydney, and from there I went to see a friend who lives very close to the reefs, and I stayed at her house. She was a wonderful host, and yeah, I went to see the reefs. I went to swim around the reefs 3 times. So it truly felt like a blessing, and one of my fears dissolved there as well because when you go to Australia, what you have is sharks and alligators
Mm.
probably, and
Yeah.
and actually when you swim off and you go to reefs, there aren't alligators. They don't go that far. They like to
Mm.
stay near the shores. And I did see some sharks. And actually, the sharks would be swimming away. They saw us when they saw some of my other, I don't know, boat friends, snorkeling friends, and yeah, these fears of if you go and swim in Australia, you're gonna get bitten by a sea snake or you're gonna be eaten by a shark, were all dissolving as well. So it's
Yeah.
So it was just another confirmation for me. Until you actually put yourself in those environments, those fears will not dissolve. And I'm not saying go and swim with hundreds of sharks. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm just saying if you want to explore, some parts of the ocean or anything, maybe don't go in with the mindset or with whatever you hear that the sea is dangerous, because some people always inflate those stories, right? Because what I've seen was an underwater world of pure magic. It looked like another forest, but it was under the sea. So it was, and with all the different colors of fish, it was just so beautiful. And yeah, I was just so grateful. And I tried at that point, actually, I tried to challenge myself because there were a lot of people who I was doing the snorkeling with who were telling me that they're planning to do skydiving. And in Australia, I thought, because I was so afraid of heights up until a year before, because in Japan, I went to do paragliding, and it's just literally you hanging on something without your shoes on, you're looking down, it's just you sitting in this thing, holding on to these two handles,
Mm.
and you're gliding through, and there was someone behind me, obviously, I wasn't doing it alone. There was someone behind me, and it really helped me with the fear of heights. And in Australia,
Mm.
I thought, can I actually push this to the next level? And I really did. And I signed up to do skydiving. And all of the work that I've done for my nervous system was actually, it was actually a real test to do it live there and then in a really fast-paced way. And I feel like the tumor might have been the slow-paced way, but the skydiving was literally like you truly knowing that you are safe, truly understanding that, all those reactions in the nervous system when the adrenaline kicks in, when you're up there and you're looking down and you're still knowing that you're safe, and when it's coming up with the cortisol as well and everything is mixing and you really feel that your heart is beating and it's pounding and you're like, okay, actually, I know that I'm still safe. And you know how to tap into those emotions. You know, using the breath, how to calm yourself down and come back into a perfect state of being completely regulated before the jump. So it was just amazing to actually really testing myself, testing the coach within me. And
Amazing.
when I jumped out, then it kicked in again. So I had all the rush, my heart beating on my chest and all that. But again, I was just really leaning into knowing that the guy checked all the buckles hundreds of times and I knew that I was safe. And as we were coming down, we were doing all the backflips and all that. I was just like, this is absolutely insane. And it was kind of liberating.
Mm.
There was some of the guys who were also jumping and they all around me was screaming, shouting. It was so liberating to scream and shout, really enjoying this thrilling moment of adrenaline rush, which was the good adrenaline, not the one that's, when the angry client calls or the angry email comes through and it's keeping you up till 3 a.m. It's not that kind. It's the good adrenaline where you feel this rush, you feel amazing, and at the same time that you're safe because you've done all the work and all these emotions you're tapping into. And the guy actually gave me the handles as we're coming down, and he was,
Oh, amazing.
if you pull this, we are leaning this way. If you pull that, we're leaning that way, and you can hold on to it properly, and you can try to land us on the beach. And I was just like, what? This was just the most random thing, you know, coming over the fear of heights completely and navigating this thing, this parachute, and landing on the beach. It really made me think and really put me into a place where I was just reflecting on this journey of where I was in 2020 with all the anxiety and the burnout and how far I've come. And I was just so grateful. That was the ultimate feeling that I had because when all the adrenaline goes and everything, all the cortisol goes down, I was just left with this intense feeling of gratitude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. And I think the thing that's really, there's two things that you said, and one of them you've kind of taught me before, but so many people would have listened to the doubts and the fears around the travel, right? Or they would have listened to the I'll just wait for, right? So for you, yours were travel related things, but I wonder but the I can't do this because, or I just wait for whatever. They're just very, very common things that people have. Like I wait till I've got more time or more energy or more money, or usually a combination of all three. But for you to be like, that's something in you, because I think some people have it, right? That's something in you that's like, I've got all of this mind chatter going on, but there's something else that's like, no, actually, this is what I need to do. This is my next step. This is the nudge, and this is what I'm going to follow. Like, it might not feel like it makes rational sense. It might not feel that logical, but this is what I'm going to do next, and this is what I'm going to do next. And I'm going to keep following these different bits. And when I do, it's like, oh, I just jumped out of a plane and then I landed it on the beach, which is amazing, really, isn't it?
It still sounds funny to me, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So then from Australia,
From Australia, I went to Bali.
yeah, and that's where we met. I love it. So in real life, Greg and I live less than an hour away from each other. We've never met in real life. But I travel across the world, he travels across the world, and we meet in Bali.
And we were laughing at it. I honestly, I think I may have said to you at one point, I would find it so funny if I stayed and we met in Bali because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. But it was so helpful for me because I wasn't a seasoned traveler. So this was like my first trip. And there were definitely, like, I knew I needed to go. I was relatively comfortable going on my own. But then I was also acutely aware of being a lone female traveler who, like, had a husband and a dog at home that she, like, wanted to come back in one piece for. And it was interesting because even when I got picked up from the airport, the taxi driver was like, "Don't go out on your own after 8 o'clock." And then like the people at the villa were like, "Don't be wandering around on your own." And I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting this." Um, but like, so it was. Look, I've done an episode already, so I don't need to talk about my experience really. But there was lots of outside my comfort zone stuff for me. But I suppose I definitely want to take this opportunity to say thank you to you for like really taking care of me because I wouldn't have gone. So I first reached out to Greg in about April and I was like, this whole pull to go to Bali is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I was like, I think I need to go to Bali. I was like, I'm feeling like September. And then I'd kind of dismissed it. And so it just ended up that we were both there. But you were like all my travel questions, all my different bits, and then you were like, and then we met up for a couple of days when we first got there, and you took me to do all the things that I wanted to do. And when I reflected on it afterwards, I was like, I don't know that I would have taken myself to do that stuff on my own. I might have done, but it was just so much easier. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to our time together of you being my travel buddy. So
Okay.
that's just like a random aside.
Wow. Honestly, I had so much fun as well.
That's so fun. So you go to Bali, and then you also went back to Thailand to do some more qigong training.
Indeed, indeed. And so that was basically to deepen my knowledge and because I was really intrigued on the in the next level stuff, and it was focusing on, more on the inner alchemy and understanding, the five elements. It was five elements Qigong, the cranial sacral Qigong that is really giving a really good understanding on the spine, the energetics in the spine, and how, the cerebral spinal fluid is actually affecting all your energies, and when there are blocks, what is happening and what flows and forms you can do to unblock them. Uh, it was, yeah. So actually, this was one of the reasons why I went back there, and it was definitely worth it. Following the nudges, like you said, I think it's something that we don't do nowadays. We Because even when, like, years ago, even when I had these nudges, I would just push them down. I would just ignore it because I'd be like, yeah, but so what is expected of me, right, is to buy the next house that's better, with the double garage, with the three bedrooms, with a huge garden. And then the next thing would be is to get a better car. And then the next thing would be get another car, blah, all these things that actually I've realized none of these things matter when I found out about the tumor, to be honest. I had this realization where, and I used to listen to people's stories and I would just not understand how this would change their mindset and mind. But actually, if you put into perspective, what would you rather want? A life that's actually giving your soul what it's asking for, all the experiences, all the fulfillment because you're helping people, or you get the next car, the next house, all these objects that are not really bringing you the fulfillment you want. And don't get me wrong now, obviously, I've moved into this house and I still own a house, but back then I sold a house in Manchester and I started traveling with the mind thinking, do I actually need to have a property? Because I feel free, I feel happy, nothing is tying me down anywhere. And it was definitely just, it was all down to following the nudges of what do I want? What is my soul calling for, asking for, that I ignored for years. And, I know that not every single one of us can afford time-wise, energy-wise, or in different ways to actually follow the soul's calling because we're still in that mindset. But when we shift that mindset, when we allow ourselves to put ourselves into those situations, we challenge, whatever we inherited, when we challenge that this is not all there is to life, this is not all there is to my life, that
Yeah.
can bring about a real change.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that. So I'm curious, you didn't know this question was coming. We didn't know any of the questions were coming because there weren't really any. Um, what what made you so you've come into some of my group spaces. What was that like a following the nudge? I know I gave you a nudge, you got invited. But what made you follow those nudges, just in case people are like thinking about it? Like what was it for you? Because now you've been in time alchemy for a little bit. Only a little bit, but
Yeah, it was basically because I knew that I was leaving Bali, where I found like a really nice spiritual community, and it gave me the realization where actually I can have that there is a way to have a community of like-minded people who are open to all the work there is to do on yourself, on your mindset, on all the goals, whatever you want to set. And there's a space where someone can hold all of you. And, to know that there is this space, there is time alchemy, where you feel fully supported, whether it's your personal development, whether you're asking questions about your next steps or your plans, your goals, or your dreams, or actually your actual dreams, and getting guidance through the dream and understanding the dream, and actually, yeah, to have someone to hold all of you is such an amazing thing because you, Louise, can hold all of us, and that is just so beautiful. And honestly, thank you for that because I mean, I personally don't know other space that can hold all of us where, it's the personal development, it's your own thing, because you have so much experience in the personal development journey as well as with your spiritual awakening and with your journey with the dream. So to have all that support is so rare, it's such a unique space. So if you are thinking about joining a unique space, if you are thinking about joining Time Alchemy, and if you're still having questions, just follow the nudges and know that this space is so magical.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And you know what? As you're sharing this, I'm like, I'm not sure it's going to be that long before you're like, we all need our own community, right? We all need the space that's for us. But I'm not sure it's going to be that long before you create this kind of space for other people. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So if people are wanting to find out more about you, and actually we haven't got this in the show notes right now, but you've got two Instagram accounts. Really, like one is like holiday pics. If you want to see Greg in swim shorts and a six pack. And then you also have your I'd say coaching, but it goes so beyond coaching, doesn't it, really, the work that you do? So tell people a little bit about how they could come and work with you right now if they wanted to come and work with you, because I love the interweaving of all of your lessons and all of your trainings into what you do. So what does that look like? And then how can people come and find you? How do people come and check you out if they want to know more and have a chat and all that good stuff?
So this space called Inner Work Lab I've created because I was really inspired, obviously, by my own journey, and I wanted a space where I can use all the tools that I've learned on this journey. And it's basically using coaching tools, using all the mindset tools that I've learned and applied as well to myself. But also, if you have goals and dreams that you want to fulfill, I can definitely help you with that as well as doing the inner work. And this is why it's called Inner Work Lab, because, throughout this journey, I've realized that all the things that I really didn't pay attention to for many, many years, which is, especially being a man, when you're told to push everything down, is allowing those emotions, those energies in motion, to actually flow through you, and facing those fears, whether it's your fear of being judged, heard, seen, or fear of heights, actually, as well. Any fears, that I've experienced throughout my journey. So I can really offer a space where I can hold all these parts of you, where if you're on a journey, if you are starting your journey, if you want to go on a journey of self-exploration, you want to build a better life, then I'm here to help through Inner Work Lab.
Amazing. And for you, it's very much a mix of, isn't it? It's like it's practical, like you take people through a practical journey, but you're also weaving in the stuff that actually makes a difference. So, I think a lot of people start out in coaching and they're doing like mindset, goal setting stuff, but what they're not doing is digging into, well, what's the stuff going on underneath? What is the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic stuff that's going on? And what you do is you have built a system that makes it sound very formal, but you've built a system that encompasses all of those different things. So you're working with all of those different layers of a person to help them move through their journey in a way that actually is very rare.
I think you beautifully summarized that as well. Thank you so much for that. Indeed. So I do look at, some deep layers, obviously not just the emotions. I also look at the energetic side as well, because through my journey, I found it was so important. I've done a lot of training, and I really wanted to bring everything together, because at the very beginning of my journey, I've only seen parts. I've seen parts of the mindset stuff, parts of the goal stuff, and then parts of the energetics and the movement as well. Because for me, just talk therapy wasn't as effective as when I was in a space of, okay, actually, we're doing embodied healing. We are moving those energies. We use movement. We use the breath as well. We use synchronized breath with movement to bring you into a calm state, to switch on your parasympathetic nervous system, to allow yourself to be in a state where you can actually calmly focus on those goals. Because, when your mind is going all over the place and you are in fight or flight, it's so hard to actually focus on your goals, and it's so hard to get into this flow state, this beautiful flow state that you can tap into when you are regulated. So I'm bringing everything together in a system so that you can actually achieve those goals without really pushing through. Because when you are potentially even in freeze, fight, flight, or freeze, what we're doing is just pushing, because we don't know how to regulate the nervous system. But I'll bring you all the tools so you can get regulated first, and we're going to work from that space to achieve those wonderful goals.
Amazing. So if people want to check this out, where do they find it?
So they find me on Inner Work Lab. I've also got a link on Instagram.
Yeah.
So Instagram is the first one. I'm actually building my TikTok as well. I'm also on Facebook. So you can find all of this stuff and the links as well in my Instagram and my Facebook as well, that you can click on and check me out, book a call if you feel like.
Amazing. So it's Inner Work Lab, and then you will find the links to Greg's Instagram and his page in the show notes here. But go and check him out on Instagram. Like the holiday pics are amazing, and these reels are incredible as well. And he's just an all-round awesome human being. So, anything else that you want to say before we finish off?
I just want to thank you for this opportunity, because I actually really enjoyed it. I loved that it wasn't scripted, it was so free, and it was just a wonderful episode, I think. Thank Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I think it's really lovely because it's very, very rare that you get the opportunity to tell your story.
Definitely. I think it's the first time I was telling my story, if I'm honest.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that. If people feel moved by Greg's story, if you feel inspired, if you feel encouraged, please reach out, let us know how this landed. Um, and thank you. I don't think it's any coincidence that we met each other, saw contracts and all that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that is it for today. This one is going live on the 18th of October, I think, or it could be the 16th of October, sometime. And it's going live in the middle of October. And so you have a few days left to sign up to the next round of Wealthy Witches, if that is calling you. Um, Otherwise, Time Alchemy, which we mentioned briefly, I will probably do another episode on this, but Time Alchemy is changing. We are merging the Your Way Mastermind and the Time Alchemy membership so that those in Time Alchemy are getting more. If you join by the end of October, you are getting more at the current price. From the 1st of November, the price for Time Alchemy will be increasing to £555 a month or £4,444 a year. I did remember. But right now, you can lock in your membership for as long as you stay for £222 a month or £1,750 a year. And you will find links for that down below somewhere as well. Greg, thank you so much. It's been amazing. I love hearing your story. It's so inspiring. And yeah, follow the nudges, peeps. Follow the nudges.